Hi, I'm David Penn, Research Analyst with Finovate. We're here at Finovate Europe 2022, and I'm speaking today with Inma Martinez. She is an AI scientist and digital pioneer. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm delighted.
So to get us started, perhaps you could tell us just a little bit about yourself.
I started developing AI 20 years ago when the mobile industry became a new digital environment. So my team in Cambridge and I built the first AI to power the original mobile internet services of 2000. And then I have been working in all the other sectors that began to digitize: music, video, content, smart cities. And of course, this is a world of multiple streams of data as we begin to monitor how people behave and live in those environments, you know. So my experience is beyond fintech, is really encompassing all of the sectors that have transformed themselves due to digitalization.
Right. And I thought we might have an opportunity to talk a little bit about how fintech compares to some of the industries that you've studied, you've worked in, you've written about. You're fresh off your presentation on the main stage just a little while ago. Very, very interesting presentation. I was sitting next to some folks who were doing quite a bit of head nodding and as we were going, which was very interesting. I was wondering maybe you could talk about maybe some of the key takeaways from what you were talking about in terms of a human-centered approach to technology.
Well, the principal concept is that when you are a retail bank, or even if you are creating AI-driven, AI-powered services for asset managers, there is a person at the other end that is going to be using this. And then you have to take into consideration that you need to service the needs that this person is going to have. So where we are at the moment is that we're trying to create a world that is assisted by machines and machine intelligence, and yet we need to create human-centric approaches as to how we deal with humans. Because the current algorithms that we have, which are pretty much 20-year-old algos, are used to dealing with computational tasks, but not so much qualitative data, like people's emotions. What is it that this person meant when they wrote that in the chat box? So all of that needs to be upgraded. So on the one hand, we find ourselves in which, for example, banking retail is not so much a financial environment. When people download the mobile app of their bank on their phones, a bank becomes a consumer goods company. You are like your supermarket app, or the app at Starbucks where you can order your coffee and then when you arrive you take off, because it's in the mobile, and the mobile is a personal environment. So one of the questions I asked the audience, like, do you think that a retail bank on a digital environment becomes a consumer goods? And the answer is yes. And do you think that also is a tech platform? Yes, because people use it to move money and put it into the savings account. So it's a plethora of new dimensions in which the financial industry is entering, thanks to creating products driven by human-centric approaches. And then the other big takeaway is the fact that the data today, remember when the data was big data? Okay, and then we started saying the data is really important, you need to funnel it into a warehouse, single central point, so that you know everything in the company. Well, now we're taking the blockchain paradigm of decentralization, and the data mesh is a new, modern, advanced concept of dealing with your data asset management. You allow the data to live in the places, in the departments where it is generated, so that those people in those domains, the marketing people, the product people, the client services people, can then run analytics right there on the spot. They don't need to call the data back from the lake or data, because it takes forever and it's really cumbersome. So this new data mesh is really, really dynamic, and it's exactly what we need now to fast create new products that are optimized. So all the learnings that you get from what your customers' behaviors and interactions are showing you, because by observing people is how you really know what is it that they want, you will be able to create actionable tasks for your team. You notice that somebody is constantly, a sizable group is constantly doing the same thing. You're like, let's run a pattern. Is this a pattern? Is this an anomaly? And you can quickly run it within that team. Your IT department will create a platform where the different departments can run those type of queries. And that didn't exist with data lakes and warehousing. So this is one of the things that I shared with the audience, like, try to get into the data mesh concept. Is brand new, but it's extremely dynamic and beneficial if you're trying to create product innovation for digital services with AI.
Right. Very interesting. One thing that strikes me, given your experience, that you have extensive experience working in AI, is that you've had the opportunity to look at a variety of different industries, as you mentioned, beyond just financial services. You've written about technology in the space industry. You've written about technology in the automotive industry. And I'm sure that a lot of our listeners would be very curious to find out how the financial services folks kind of stack up in terms of their capacity to think innovatively and critically compared to some of these other industries that you've studied and worked with.
Well, the FIN industry, the financial industry, is very dynamic per se. I mean, the banks and the financial institutions have driven the majority of the technological innovations. When you look at, the rise of the data centers is being driven by financial services. Algorithms to monitor training, prediction, detection is financial services. So it's an industry that embraces technology. But one of the needs now is that it begins to look at itself as something else. The more they go into asking humans to do things with super tech in their hands, whether it's asset management or traders or users of retail banking. And that's the challenge. The challenge is, let's look at ourselves and ask ourselves, can we be treated as a Unilever, focus on people? We're going to create for example, some banks in the pandemic understood that elderly people and disabled people needed other people to do the shopping for them because we were all locked up, remember?
Sure.
And then they had to give them the bank cards to go shopping, which is very dangerous because with that card you can do anything. So one of the banks here in the UK said, no, we are going to create a card just for shopping groceries. It doesn't work in an ATM. You cannot go and buy clothes. It's only for food. And they did it. They actually created this product in weeks, not months. So your ability to react and create better and optimized products and services driven to the people, human-centric, focus on their needs, is one of the new paradigms for some financial institutions in which they see themselves, wow, we can do these things. We feel capable of, creating a new array of services that maybe 10 years ago we thought, this is not for us. For example, saving bank accounts are not saving bank accounts anymore. Some banks are saying, do you want to have multiple savings accounts as to for what is it that you're saving? So it's not the traditional world anymore. It's more dynamic. It allows you to really, truly embrace innovation and have flexibility.
Wow, very, very interesting. I'm thinking maybe by wrapping up, we could take a look sort of toward the future and what things that financial services companies maybe need to be prepared about in terms of potential disruptions, technology disruptions over, say, the next 5 years. What are some of the things that if you were providing advice or recommendations for them to be sort of wary of going forward in terms of potential technology disruption?
One of the biggest disruption is the need for improved cybersecurity, but being brought to the user level. We need to teach our clients to be cyber savvy. It's not just about building a super cybersecurity team that would look at our assets. We need to take responsibility of building cybersec in the last mile, basically on the app level, on the website level, to really ensure that our clients are not part of scams and these type of situations which really affect them terribly, and also the reputation of the financial institution that is there. So cybersecurity for the people, I would call it like the last mile.
Sure.
Is really let's create either bulletproof cybersec apps or protocols in which our own clients learn how to think and how to be conscious that some people may come and try to pretend that it's your bank, et cetera, et cetera. So cybersec is important. And the second one is to really build a reputation in which, and this is going against nature, in which your clients don't look at you as what you used to be in the 20th century. They need to look at you as a service provider, meaning as my life as a person evolves and I start having new needs, I know my bank will present to me with solutions for all the challenges that I'm having in my life. That's why I like the paradigm of retail banks should be consumer goods companies.
Right.
Focus on what people need rather than maintaining the fixed structure, current account, savings account, that's gone. That's gone from me. So that is a huge opportunity that I hope some banks will embrace.
Yeah, very good, very good. Very interesting presentation that we got to hear and a very interesting conversation as well. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us as well.